So next I'd like to introduce our wonderful guest, Maria Luisa Boyce. I met Maria through Go for the Greens, which is a conference that I helped co-found for women business owners to help match women business owners with corporations and government agencies so that they can get bigger contracts. And Maria has been one of our speakers several times and is with UPS, which is the title sponsor, along with Walt Disney World, of Go for the Greens every year. We're going into the 14th year this September 22nd through 25th. So hopefully you all will join us at Disney. So Maria, hello.
Such a pleasure to be here, and hello everybody. I can feel the sunshine from here. I do envy all of you. I promise, because it's cloudy and it's gonna rain. I live in Virginia, outside DC, so it's a pleasure to be here. Hello, Diane.
Hello. And you know Nancy. And so Maria, I would love for it if you would tell us what your title is there and what you do. And then I'm going to hand you right off to Nancy, who's going to have an interview with you so that we can all learn.
Of course, of course. So my name is Maria Luisa Boyce. I'm originally from Colombia. I grew up living in 5 different countries in Latin America, and then I moved here to the States, fell in love with our country, and became a U.S. citizen. I know too much information. The most important title I have is mom. I have two boys, and I will talk with Nancy about my career. But currently, I am vice president of international public affairs with UPS. And I have 2 areas of responsibility. One, in the international team, I support our government affairs efforts in Latin America. I'm a trade nerd and a customs nerd, so any questions in that area, welcome to answer on that piece. I also lead a program that I will talk about when Nancy asks me the question, so I won't give it up right now, in the international piece. And I also help lead our small, medium-sized and business policies globally. So working with governments and multilateral organizations on how can we improve business environment for small businesses. And then on the domestic side, on the federal team, I'm a lobbyist for UPS. I work on the Hill. I have 52 offices that I'm in charge of. I also represent the organization in several boards, and I'm excited to be surrounded by all of you. I admire women entrepreneurs, and you'll hear why and how. But it's a pleasure to be here. So that's my brief introduction, and I'll turn it over to Nancy.
Thank you so much. And I can just tell that we are all going to be inspired to be able to manage being a mom of 2 plus having 52 programs that you manage is something aspirational for a lot of us probably. So I'll start off, Maria Luisa, by asking you to tell us how long you've been with UPS in the international policy space, and most importantly, share with us how you got there.
Thank you so much, Nancy. So I think I have been with UPS for 5 years now. And before that, I worked with US Customs and Border Protection for 8 years. And before that, I was president of a nonprofit called the Border Trade Alliance for 10 years. And I work on policy issues across the border from Canada, the US, and Mexico. And then I started my career as a finance analyst. Don't add the years, please, because then you will start revealing. But Nancy, when I started my career, and maybe as for many of us, the journey, trade was always came up in one way or another. And I was inspired by 2 very strong grandmothers, 2 abuelitas that did their own way of doing business. My one of my grandmothers started her own, like a little grocery shop in her own house that she built up in Colombia, and started selling without knowing how to read or write. She did everything in her mind. And my other abuelita started sewing and selling clothes that she saw so that she can pay for the education of my mom and the other 5 kids that she had. So business and trade always came through that career. I think how I end up with UPS is in the international policy affairs, is the subject matter expertise of customs and trade issues, the importance of how do we present our policy perspectives and be able to build trust and relationship with government officials, etc. That's how what brought me to UPS, and I've been very lucky to be in this team and leading key projects that are helping us grow as a business and enable opportunities for our customers too.
Beautiful, beautiful. And it's always interesting how we start with one thing in mind, right? So that's the vision of international trade, international policy, and there are many paths to getting there. So it looks like you went from here to there to there to bringing finally everything that you know to your current position. So
That is
wow.
true, Nancy. If you would have asked me 10 years ago, 15 years ago, that I was going to be working in international trade, I said, no, Nancy, you don't know what you're talking about. That's not what I'm doing. But it's interesting, yes, how we have led here, and I'm very excited. It's exciting times to be in international trade.
Beautiful, beautiful. And that's a really great segue to my second question, which is what trends are you seeing through the pandemic and beyond for e-commerce and small business?
So, very interesting, I think, and thank you, Nancy, for the question. The last year, needless to say, has been different, right, and challenging in many areas. And what we saw, if I take you from the perspective of what we were seeing on trade and international trade, we saw a change, a complete shift on the consumer behavior, where now all of a sudden they had everything became the interaction became electronic, right, like or digital, like we're doing right now. um, but that also from a business perspective, the trends that we saw are people in regions of the world, for example, in Latin America, 60 year and older started using credit cards and going online to buy things which you never saw in Latam because that was not in the culture. You don't trust putting your credit card information. The culture, ask my father and my mom, that will never do that. They live in Honduras. And but we started seeing this change. And here in the other change is, of course, where businesses now had to deal with customers online, and not in a shop, not face to face. And so that trend, we saw growth of e-commerce in numbers that we expected to take 5 to 10 years happen in 9 months. And that has some consequences in that the digital infrastructure for businesses, or how do you do business electronically, right? You still need that trust and that interaction, and so all of that had to change. And so we are seeing those trends. The volume has not stopped. I mean, we're seeing continuous numbers and growth of those of the movement domestically here in the US and internationally, of how people are shopping and their behaviors of what they're doing. And so that happened in a very fast pace. The other angle of all of this too, and I'm showing my nerdiness here in terms of the transportation and trade perspective, is that a lot of people don't realize too that a lot of cargo moves in the belly of passengers of planes. And all of a sudden, passengers fly, or planes with passengers were not flying because the flights were less, and so you had less capacity on how do you move things. And priority was given first to PPE when we were at the first wave, and then vaccines. We at UPS, we have delivered almost 50% of the vaccines worldwide, and here in the US too. And so it really, you give priority. So even today, we're still at 70% capacity of air capacity. We haven't reached the pre-pandemic numbers. Why do I mention that? Because that also had an impact on supply chain, on movement, on how businesses grew and move. And that trend has made businesses also to plan better. How do you manage inventory, and having a better understanding of where you are sending your products, or who are you doing business with. So these trends, the consumer changed their behavior. Businesses had to shift or pivot, and the first hit of cash flow that was lost, and now as they're recuperating or addressing, how do they build a digital infrastructure that is stronger? And then trade, in all of this that was happening, trade never stopped. And that was a commitment, right? The economies wanted to, as much as possible, what was the least amount of damage that could be done to the economies and the movement of things. And so, for example, industries like transportation and ours, we were assigned essential, whatever that means, right? In that word, but that meant that we could continue to distribute the vaccines or the PPE, or having that movement. And that also, and this is my nerdy moment in 30 seconds, I won't talk about that policy, but it also forced governments to do things that otherwise they were not doing, like automation and risk management, and doing things more efficient just because they had to, right? There was no that interaction. That is out of the sadness and everything that has happened, something that has come out that has accelerated some changes. So those are the trends in my world that we're seeing. And now we hired over 40,000 people during the pandemic, and we still shorthanded. We are also looking for to hire. We don't have enough drivers for our trucks. It's a unique dynamic.
Mhm. Well, thank you for giving us that great overview. I think a lot of us can relate to this fast pace of what had to happen in our businesses, right? We
Yeah.
were faced with the pandemic, and yeah, I think things were slow for about 90 days as everybody was kind of taking a look to see where, what, how, when. And then boom, boom, boom. There are some of our business owners who quickly stepped in and pivoted and quickly were able to take advantage of the way of the world now, right? So we all know and admire and love UPS for many, many years. UPS was, I think, a founding member of WeBank. UPS has been a very big partner of Go for the Greens. The council is very involved with Go for the Greens. And the role that UPS has played throughout the pandemic, we have been kind of on the outskirts looking in, right? The outside looking in. The fact that UPS was able to hire 40,000 people and that you're looking for more also speaks volumes to your commitment to keeping our economy going, right? To keeping our country strong. The delivery of half of the vaccines, everything that you talked about. I wanted to give that as an overview to segue into, I know that UPS has specific programs for women-owned businesses, but not everybody on this call knows that UPS is not only globally committed to its bottom line and logistics, but UPS is actually committed to the development of small business and to women in particular, right? So could you talk about the programs and opportunities that UPS has for women-owned businesses?
Thank you, Nancy. And I love how you're summarizing a lot of the work. So I mentioned one of my responsibilities in the international team is I lead for our global public affairs team, our Women Exporter program, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about it. Before that, we launched it in 2018, the UPS Foundation and UPS. Because, and I don't need to tell this, I'm singing to the choir here because you guys are it, you are the women entrepreneurs, but we were seeing here in the US and globally the opportunity for women really to enter international trade, because for some reason, even though you have the innovation entrepreneurship, they were not participating as much in international trade and taking advantage. Those that were in international trade and exporting are stars, right? They are very successful in that respect. And so when we were looking at that, and as a company, our trade mission and vision, or our vision in international trade, is to have an inclusive trade that allows to have a fair, prosperous, resilient, and sustainable implementation of trade internationally. That's what we as a team and as a company are looking towards. How do we work and how do we make certain that every policy or anything that we advocate work? And supporting women entrepreneurs was a great business decision because investing in women is a great investment, but also the right thing to do, right? And we were seeing it with our employees. We have over 520,000 employees worldwide. And so we were seeing it in our communities. And so this program, what we have available for women entrepreneurs and here in the US is we did an assessment. Why are women not going global, right? Why are you not taking the risk? And first of all, we women do not like to take too many risks. We think about it a lot. We have to analyze it and make the list and the pros and cons. Once we make the decision, we go for it. But what we were seeing is, and we did a survey with, we found partners, key partners around the globe, and here in the U.S., WeBank is one of our partners. We have the International Trade Center in Geneva. We have different other partners domestically and internationally. And we did an assessment and a survey, and we found what were those knowledge gaps that were impeding women entrepreneurs to grow. So from a UPS perspective, we identified that is one challenge is capacity building. Is the if you don't have the information of what does it mean to go global, to export, if you're a service or selling goods, how do you take that step? Then you needed the training in certain areas, and we have developed 8 learning modules that we have on training women entrepreneurs on specific topics that we identified. The second one was access to markets, and I do want to say here in the U.S. and because I have the opportunity, I have worked in over almost 100 countries with our Women Exporter program. The U.S. has an amazing resources for businesses to go international with the Department of Commerce and the Small Business Administration and the Exim Bank. But what we found out is that many businesses didn't know. And women-owned businesses didn't know that they have those resources available. And so what we did is also from a market access. So we did capacity building important. You can get all the training, but if you don't put it in practice, it's useless. So access to market, how do you turn that training into money, into business, into growing? And so we identified what are the tools that are available on that piece, and something very important, networking. How are you building your network? And sometimes women don't take the time to network because it doesn't make it to a priority list. I congratulate all of you for being members of this organization and being here because networking makes a difference. We see it over and over again around the globe. And then the third piece that we identified was how do we change policies and regulations that impact women entrepreneurs around the globe? So those are that 3-prong approach we launched it, and that's Nancy how we have done it. And we also identified in market access, before I forget, you need discounts. It sounds all nice and beautiful, but you have to be competitive and you have to manage your cash flow. So we identified discounts specifically for women entrepreneurs or small businesses. We did find, yes, there are women entrepreneurs. There's a lot of businesses and small businesses that are family owned. Is the husband and wife, is the mom and the kids. And in some areas, they ask us, no, don't go all only women, also have family, right? And the whole business in some countries, that was the experience that we saw. So we have those resources, Nancy. We have discounts, we have training. For the training is at no cost. And we launch as part of our resources and training. So we launched, for example, with the city of Atlanta, in Atlanta, a women export university, where we trained the city and the UPS partner, and we identified a group of women and gave them 4 modules of training and give them all the different areas that they needed. Would love to partner with you guys if we can do something like this in Florida. I would love to. and so we're launching 15 countries in Latin America in March, the program. So right now, this morning, I was doing my second module in Puerto Rico, where we are training women entrepreneurs in Puerto Rico. Tomorrow, I'm in Mexico. I love how much I'm traveling digitally. so so anyway, so that's, I'm giving a long answer on that, but that's the program that we're doing, and our commitment to support providing the skill sets to entrepreneurs, to women entrepreneurs, to be successful and trust that they can do it.
And remind us the name of the program.
Is the Women Exporter program. I will put a link in the chat box.
Okay,
I should
perfect.
do that.
Thank
Yes,
you.
I should have been ready. I'm sorry. I was so
Yeah, no,
excited
no.
talking about the topic that I forgot to.
No worries. Let's continue, and then we can send the link out to everyone. And really, what both Maria Luisa and I want you to know is, you can tell the commitment and the enthusiasm, right? By the way Maria Luisa speaks, by the program. But can you also take that one step further, and you too learn from that, right? Let that enthusiasm just kind of encourage you to look towards going global. I know for a lot of our members, people think that going global means you have to have an actual product that you're selling, exporting or importing, but a service company can be a global company. You can set yourself up as an expert in your field, and what you're doing globally is consulting, is training, is offering opportunities, right? The other thing that I want to remind everyone on this call, and everyone who is listening, is the value of education, the value of learning, the value of keeping an open mind and saying, oh, well, you know, UPS is a great partner for me locally. It's a great partner for us as a you know, nationally. But now you know, UPS is a great partner for you globally as well. And I'm just going to highlight again the three-pronged the program, the three activities that you spoke about, Maria Luisa, because I think it bears mentioning. First, it was, you know, information and resources, training and capacity building, right? How important is that as you are looking to go global? The first thing you need to know is what you don't know, right? So you go in and you learn about, you know, what's available, and the capacity building piece is really, really key. Second is access to markets. I think you said it so well, Maria Luisa, when you said you want to help, UPS wants to help turning training into dollars, right? So it's one thing to know something, it's a whole other thing to apply the thing. So know that UPS is committed to helping you turn what you learn into, you know, success for your business. Building the network, you talked about the importance of networking, and imagine business owners that you would be in with other business owners just like yourself, who are at that stage of business where they're thinking, okay, it's time for me to really look outside the borders of the United States. So you're not going to be alone. You're going to be in a mix of a group of women who are committed to going global and who are committed to following the right steps, right? With a great partner like UPS. And then finally, you know, policies and regulations. And you said when you started off by saying you're a lobbyist, right?
Yes.
You're a lobbyist, and
I
part of
know. I'm
your,
part of the swamp. No, I'm kidding.
no. You're part of the change and part of the solution, right? Because, and we work very closely with Women Impacting Public Policy. I'm sure you know of WIP, who advocate on behalf of women business owners. But again, my compliments to UPS for doing more than just talking, right? You're actually putting action and putting emphasis on what is important, not only for us here, but for us globally. So I hope everybody's been taking notes, because this is really important, and we will send you the link for the Women Exporter program. And I really encourage all of you to apply for that. right?
Thank you.
And so, um, Maria Luisa, let me ask you if you can share some success stories, because I think that's what's going to drive things home, right? If you have a couple of success stories that you can share.
I'll share two stories. And Nancy, I love your summary. I feel that you were paying attention. Thank you.
Yes.
I always am worried about losing my audience, and I apologize for my sense of humor. I have lost my filters as I am working from home a lot. So if you hear
You're
me say
great.
things, just take it on that piece. But so there's I'm gonna share with you just three stories very quickly on that respect, because as we were going through the pandemic and addressing what happened, there were four areas that we were doing surveys every 2 weeks just to hear from our customers what was going on. And there were four areas that the small businesses identified as they were hit hard. One, cash flow, of course, I mean, expected. The second one was many of these businesses, they relied on and we were I should clarify, we were surveying businesses that sell goods, right? Not services in this one. But some of them, they have only one supplier for
Mhm.
any of the goods that they needed, and that was impacted, right? And so they lost the product that they had. The third one was the change in behavior of their customer. For me, that was surprising that many customers were used to selling direct to other businesses, and then the businesses sold their product, but they were not as much. They had a little bit of business to consumer, but not as much, and that was a big shift for them. And then the fourth one was how to deal with employees, or how to deal with the structure of the business itself. Those were the four that kept coming every 2 weeks.
Mhm.
And we started with 75%, this is in the US, that cash flow was a challenge, and that they were a problem. Once you saw the second PPP when it came out, then it started going down 46% in the survey, which I thought was interesting, right? A snapshot of the universe. Why do I tell this? Because the three stories that I have of the program, when the pandemic started, we needed to shift our how we were doing our women exporter program. And in our partnership with ITC, we had 4 countries. So we had the city of Atlanta, where we launched our Women Exporter program. We had the partnerships with ITC in Mexico, Vietnam, India, and Nigeria, where we launched the program, and they were all in person. And then we had a partnership with in Mexico with the Academy for Women Entrepreneurs, and we had to change, and we identified there were two topics that we needed to talk about: digital commerce and access to finance. Those were the two realities that we saw in businesses. So the first entrepreneur that I will talk about is these two sisters in Mexico that well, they're sisters and a mom. It's a family business, and they make obleas. And I always forget how to say obleas in English.
Mhm.
Help from anyone that it's
Describe what is it?
so this is my Catholic side. When you go to church and you get the
Oh, Eucharist, the communion,
the communion, yes. So
the Eucharist.
the Eucharist, but they're bigger, right? They make those bigger, and you eat it with something sweet. They're delicious. So
Mm,
anyway, they make this product, and it's a product that is wafers. Thank you,
wafers.
Renee. Appreciate it. so so they are made with organic products. This is another piece I haven't even touched, that the commitment to sustainability from women entrepreneurs, right?
Mm,
They're made from organic products. All of a sudden, what they went through the training, and they heard about exporting, but they were so afraid of exporting. They were not exporting as a customers, and they have a product that is something that you eat. And so it's hard. How do you export a product that you eat, and not understanding how to make it happen? Long story short, I already made it long, right? But long story short, after the training, they connected with UPS, and they identified that there's a lot of interest of the products that they were selling in Qatar. And so they started exporting to Qatar. They did a readjustment of how had their social media, because that's another change of the consumer behavior. Consumers now needed to know everything now, how to do it, how they were doing, just that communication from the business. And if you hear one of the sisters, she says we were not responding to the social media, but we were seeing that one product was doing well one time we posted something on Instagram just for fun, and one product started selling more. That's how they said, oh my gosh, people are following and reading. And so they started selling, and the customers from Qatar were putting good reviews, and so they got more customers. And so right now they are exporting, I believe, to the EU and Qatar, and there's another country. So they're doing well. They have grown their business. They're catching up, and that came just from the training, just knowing, right? And by the way, when we give our training, and I'll, of course, yes, I'm in business and I want your business, but we give you the information not for you to work with UPS. We give you the information for you to know what are the right questions to ask. Whoever you decide to work with, be smart about what you ask and how you do it, right? Because then you have the best partner. So that's one example. And son las obleas cablan. I'll send the information. I have a horrible memory in names. Sorry about that. My second example is Rahama Wright, who is actually in the webpage, that in the link that I sent you. She's one of our entrepreneurs that we're highlighting in the page. She sells a Shea Gelene, which is like products for your face and your body. And she was selling 70% of her sales were in person, in working with directly with customers in shopping malls, at the airports. And from one day to the other, gone 70%, because she had to close down. And she said, and I love her story, because what she said is that that first week it was fighting depression, like all of a sudden all her hard work gone. And she had to, like I always do, I have my youngest child is a special needs child, and I learned this with him. That's the beautiful gift from God. Take a deep breath, and assess, right, how to assess. And that's how she explains it. And she became a partner of UPS because she's in the PAC DVIA, which is, this is on the policy side. That's the president's advisory committee for doing business in Africa. And Laura Lane, who you know from Go Greens, or women, she's on the board of the PAC DVIA, and she has heard, of course, about UPS and what we work on the policy. And she started working with us. And what she realized is that she can sell electronically. At first she was fighting it, because she said, how am I going to sell electronically? My business is gone. What am I going to do? And she went one day by a time. It took her 3 months to pivot, right? Build the digital infrastructure. She sources from Ghana her products. She sells them here in the US, and she's also starting to export. And so she exports to different, to EU, and here in the US. The US in itself is a market that you can cover. I always tell, I know, Nancy, we were talking about going global, but you can do baby steps too. You can do domestic. The US itself, it's a huge opportunity to grow, right? You can grow in Florida, then you can grow to different states, you can grow countrywide, and you can export. I mean, there's different baby steps that you can take. So that's the second example, and I think I'm running out of time, so I'm gonna, but for me, when I love hearing their stories. And I have another lady that produces honey in Mexico, and she's with her sons, her son and her daughter, and she went through the training that we did in Mexico. Okay, I'm telling the third story, I guess. And and um and then when because she went through our training, we have a global expo where we highlight women entrepreneurs. This is through the partnership with the International Trade Center. And she wanted to go, and she was ready to go. This was in Dubai, but she realized, first of all, that over there it's better if a man is leading the discussion, and second, you need to speak English. And she does not speak English to save her life, but her son does. And so she called on her son, she gave him the training, and
Mhm.
she went to Dubai, and she now sells honey to the Middle East. She
Wow.
exports with us. Something, as you know, as customers, that your product has to arrive on time and in a good manner, because if not, you lose your customer. That is our commitment from that respect. But she adapted, she pivoted and adapted, and I love that story. Of course, we are, when you change the policies and regulations about women, and women doing business, yes, we are changing the policies. Culture is there, but I loved how she adapted. She said, "It's okay. You can do business with my son. It's still my company. We'll
Mhm.
make it happen." And she's doing and selling successfully.
Beautiful, beautiful. And those are, I think, three really great examples, Maria Luisa, of that are universal, right? These are examples of how what we all felt during the beginning of the pandemic. Those of us that had businesses that had only one major customer,
Yeah.
we were, looking at ourselves thinking, what are we going to do now, right? Also, the you talked about the change in customer behavior, how
Yeah.
important it is to really know that. And one of the things that we like to tell our members, remind them that you have a wealth of knowledge in your customer base, and UPS knows that and does these regular surveys. Several times you mentioned about the surveys that you were doing, and we encourage our business owners to do the same, right?
Mhm.
Survey your customers, ask them what's working, what can we do better,
Yeah.
because that's an incredible information that you can provide. And then finally, your third story of the ingenuity of this woman to say, oh, you need to speak to a man. I have a man, I have my son, I can do business with you. And women are really great at that, right? At adapting and flexibility and saying, yes, yes, we can. And so
Yep.
we always encourage our members, and in this community, if you need support to know that, yes, you can, this is where we're going to give you that support, right? Is in this community. So finally, Maria Luisa, do you have any words of advice? I know you probably have 1,000 words of advice, but just a couple of words of advice for us.
I think my words of wisdom are, I call it my words of wisdom, of the words of advice. What I have seen and learned. One, eh, have faith in yourself, right? Oh, so, well, being careful. If you believe in God, the force, or the energy, however you want to call it, and that, being respectful, but have that momentum, and have faith, and knowing your God when you're an entrepreneur, that you are doing, that you know your product and you know what you're doing. So that is very important, and trust your instincts in that respect. The second one is network, network, network. Do belong to organizations that help you to keep yourself updated and aware of what is out there, what is available. I for me, it's fascinating when we're doing some of the training, especially the access to finance piece, and they hear here in the U.S. From the Small Business Administration and Exim Bank, that they have all these resources available for small businesses, and still women entrepreneurs will say, "I didn't know," because we assume that there's nothing out there, right? We like to work hard, and so do your homework, and through networking you can get access and have that information. You have to do your homework, right? You have to have your T's crossed and your I's dotted.
Mhm.
um, but that is important. And I think, the third one, take the risk. Believe in yourself, you can do it. Going internationally, going global. Nancy, you were mentioning service companies. I have part of the training, we have service companies that come to the trainings, not because they're selling a product, but because they want to sell the service to the women that are going to sell their product external, that want to export. And so they want to understand what are the questions, that and how can they better support potential customers. And that's how you become global too, as a service company, understanding these pieces. Be smart about it, right? Don't spread yourself too thin. When On that part is take the risk, do it, but be smart, and do your homework on that respect. So those are my my 3 areas of words of wisdom. I was trying to be more simplified, but uh, just the don't lose your spirit of entrepreneurship and know that you're not alone. I think, Nancy, to your point, you're part of a community that is here to support you. We at UPS, we support you, and we want you to be successful, because that brings more success to the communities.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I first off, thank you so very much, Maria Luisa. Lots of information provided. And I'm going to take a point of personal privilege and say, I want to talk to you about the Woman Export University. Okay, because I think that we need that here. And I think that the council would be a really great partner with you. So offline, I'm going to contact you to see if we can get something going
Of course, Nancy,
along those
thank you.
lines.
Would love
Okay,
to. Would love to.
beautiful. So I think we have just a couple of minutes. Diane, do you want to open it up for questions? I wasn't monitoring the chat, so let's see if there's
Yeah,
anything.
there were a couple people who wrote in a couple questions. One is Christy Grace Chambers. And Christy, if you're still with us, maybe you'd like to pop on and ask that question yourself.
Hi, absolutely. Thank you, Maria Luisa. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm with Blanca Commercial Real Estate, and we are commercial real estate advisors advising on, landlords representing companies looking for office space, needing to move or open an industrial space or whatever. So in order to work with UPS on real estate needs, do we need to go online and register as a vendor?
Christy, I believe you do. And what I'm gonna do, if I may, and I can send it to Diane. There's a procurement page, and my colleague Chris Oswald, who's also comes to go to the greens, she has created. We have a great page on that area. But if you send me your email, I'll make certain to connect you to the right individuals, because you do have to sign up. But definitely we'll put you in contact. And Chrissy, may the force be with you. I know it has been challenging for your industry, but I think it's also, there's a lot of good opportunities on how people are changing the dynamic of how they look at real estate, right? And take advantage. So
Yes. Well, thank you so much.
thank you, Christy. I'm a big Star Wars fan. I should have said that also at the beginning.
Yeah,
I'm a
I
trainer
recognize.
and a Star Wars fan.
Yeah, no, in your photo, it has, there's a sign off to your shoulder that says, "May the fourth be with you." So yeah, me too. I'm a big Star Wars fan. Yes.
That's fun.
Any other questions, Diane?
There were two. Jackie Darna, well, Dr. Jackie, would you like to ask your question? I know we only have like 1 more minute left, so, but I thought this was a good one.
Sure. Hi, Maria Luisa. It's so good to see your face from one line to another. Real quick, I went to one of the international trade conferences, and they gave me an entire list of basically who I need to contact for different ports and to check up on everything. And I was just hoping that you had that again. I don't know what happened to it, and I was in desperate need of it quite a few times. So by any chance, do you know, I mean, I know that I have Chris's email too, but I don't think she was the person. I can't remember who was the speaker at that event.
I think it was me, Jackie. I'll go and look for it, and I'll send your way, or I'll send it to Diane so she can send it to you.
Awesome. I put my email. It's good seeing you.
Oh, it's nice to see you too. Thank you.
Great. And we had one more, and that was Renee Laurette. I'm sure I didn't pronounce your name correctly, but Renee, if you want to pop on.
Thank you, Diane. Renee Joret from AMP International. Thank you, Maria Luisa, and reminding us about obleas too. I'm from Colombia too.
Awesome.
You mentioned the international, like the program and everything. Is this just for international companies? We are a service company. We do a lot of training, translations. We also, one of our clients is a staffing company, and we wanted to see how we can serve, the businesses that are part of the school, and see how we can help them, as we have been doing that.
Yeah, no, it's not only international, it's also in the US. In the US, what we're doing though, Renee, is partnering. For example, what Nancy and I will have the conversation, and we're launching with a local partner, the Women Export University. So it's not that you sign up for the Women Exporter program, we have it open, but the trainings will be with a local partner. That's how we're doing it in the US. So hopefully coming soon to you after we speak with Nancy and see what we can do in this area. But feel free to send me an email, and I'll put my email address here in the chat, and however I can be of assistance and can connect you or show you what I'm doing where I am.
That would be great. We really appreciate it.
These were
Gracias.
These were some great questions, and thank you everybody for sticking around and for showing your face, for asking the questions in person. And Maria, thank you so much for all the great information. I took a whole bunch of notes. I'm sure everybody did. And Nancy, do you want to say anything to close us out?
Yeah, well, I want to, you know, again, thank Maria Luisa, and also hope that you all who are listening have been encouraged to, you know, take the first step, which is get the information and see if this is the right program for you, right? And then contact us and count on us to help you as you move forward to develop your business. We are in the business of helping you develop your business. So please rely on us and know that our mission is to help you. So thank you very much for participating. And again, UPS is an incredible partner, and we want you to act intentionally and support those who support us. So thank you very much.